This is stretchy fleece, a nearly invisible hole and no way to draw a neat pattern, but I still wanted to use Sashiko. Here's how I made the tiniest repair with a big impact. This is a really old jumper. I like it, and it's just going into holes through age. So I have, can you even see those on camera, those two tiny little holes? But I don't want to ignore them. So I'm going to do a miniature Sashiko repair. Really small little flowers. This fabric is a stretchy fleece of some kind. And it did have a pile, but that's fairly flattened with age. It doesn't look like a great fabric to do Sashiko on. The way I'm going to do this, first of all, I'm going to stick something behind it. I've got some iron-on fusible here, so I'll take this to the iron and I will press that behind as a base. And then I'm going to Sashiko it. I'm going to use this nice blue colour. I don't think I'm going to be able to draw on this fabric, so I think I'm going to draw my pattern onto this paper that sticks onto the fabric. This is the peel and stitch that can be used for embroidery, and just in this case I think that'll be a better option. We'll go ahead and get all that started. First I've got to find a drawing of a pattern that I like. This particular peel and stitch is from Missouri Star, and it actually did come with a sheet that you could photocopy any of these little things on there. I was thinking of some flowers, but this is really too big, so probably not. I'm probably going to have to look somewhere else for the pattern I want to use. I'm just thinking of like a row of little star flowers or little cherry blossoms just right there. So I'll go ahead and press this on first, and then we'll go from there. I've pressed this piece on. This can't stand a very hot iron, so I'm not sure how well this fusible will stick. I'm used to using it on cotton where I can, use the full heat. So I've got some very pale blue thread here, and I am just going to do a running stitch close to the edge just to hold this in place. Hopefully it won't even need it anyway when the Sashiko is on there. I'm hoping it doesn't show very much on this other side, but as I say, I probably will be able to take it out later. I'm going to do it neatly in case it has to stay in, so we'll just have a look and decide that later. I'm doing this from the wrong side, and that's so I can sew fairly close to the edges on this. And also because I'm just doing a running stitch, and I don't know about you, but when I do a running stitch, my stitches on the underneath side tend to be smaller than they are on the top, and I really don't want this to show very much on the right side. I'm using my Sashiko thumb pull just because it's just a bit easier. I'm also doing this a little bit like a Sashiko stitch. I actually just made a video about thimbles. When I was getting my things out to make this video, I found an old one that I totally had forgotten I'd got and didn't put in the video. And that's this one, which is a leather thimble. And I think you can see that I've used this so much that it's actually gone into a hole, which is probably why I forgot about it. It just needs throwing out. This is quite a good protecting finger one. In this case I would put it on the underneath of my finger, and when the needle hit my finger underneath, it would protect it a little bit, or it would have done before the hole was in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that one out. And in the meantime, let's just go on and finish sewing this on here. So I've just done a running stitch all the way through there, and now I'm just going to turn it the other side out, and we'll have a look what it looks like on the other side. I did a couple of stitches towards the actual hole as well, and pushed my needle through to the other side because I may do a little reinforcing stitch around the hole. Let's have a look. Okay, so really that stitching doesn't show at all on the front, so I'm quite pleased with that, so that's okay. I kind of thought that's what would happen with this kind of little bit of the pile that's left, that it would be hidden. And I'm also a little bit concerned about my Sashiko stitches disappearing into this pile as well. So this video is really an experiment, finding some things out here about what I can and can't do. So here I'm just going to do a couple of stitches just around the edge of the hole. Keep watching, because towards the end I'll show you a little Kuguri style technique that you can use if the stitches do fade into the fleece too much. And the other place I'm covering, it's not quite a hole, it's just a very worn thin place, so I don't think I need to do this around there. Okay, just pass it back and finish it off at the back. And that'll just give that a bit more stabilisation as well there. I'm ready to find my pattern and put my peel and stitch wash away stabiliser on that little patch. So I'll come back when I've found that. This peel and stitch is a good option for tricky fabrics. I've cut a little cherry blossom shape out. I'm not sure if you can see that against the white. And I marked where the actual hole is on the fabric. So there's a hole here, and then the next hole is about here. I'm going to do a partial cherry blossom here. Trying to get it just over the same position hole there. And then I'm just drawing around the edge of my shape. And I could use any pen for this. I'm just using this heat erasable pen because it goes easily onto this texture. Okay, and then I think I'm going to do one more, even though it doesn't need it, just right there. I've got a feeling I may be doing a few more of these cherry blossom flowers on this particular sweater. This little flower is doing big work. It's mending the fabric, but also it's adding a personal touch. I think it's going to look quite sweet. I had to make a little template. I'm not that good a drawer, and these little freehand shapes I'm not very good at, so it would be a lot easier if I was. I can just join that little bit there by hand. I'll add a few more details in the centre as I do the Sashiko. And I think also I'm going to mark this on, but I may not use it. I think I'm going to have a little curlicue coming out of there at the top. And let's see, where would that go? Like that. Maybe, and I'm going to cut that shape out. Just going to cut this little piece off. Can you see the one little piece there? So I want to match that up. So this is the one that's going to go over the worst piece right there. So that will sit right there. And then this one, let me just turn that a little bit so I think there, let me just make sure that one didn't move off. Just taking a little bit care with this because I do want it to just fall in just the right spots. All right. You can see here why drawing directly on this fabric just wouldn't work. It kind of soaks in the ink and you can't get a clear line, but these little marks will do just to position this when I put it back down. And this just peels off this backing. And then set that in the right position. Even though this is a small repair, I want it to be just right. All right. Now, lots of challenges with this. Don't know how well this is going to stick to this fleece. Don't really know how well this is going to work out at all. This is going to be quite interesting. So that part is done, and now I'm going to start doing the Sashiko. So this is the thread that I'm going to use. Pretty nice variegated thread that I like. And I think it'll show up quite well on this pale blue. So I've got my Sashiko thimble. Just going to start with a knot. And going to start down here with this little curlicue here. I'm just going to try and keep my stitches fairly even. I may only be able to do one stitch at a time through this. We'll see how it goes. This is the smallest little Sashiko hole that I've ever tried to do Sashiko over. But if I'd have left it, this is just so old that it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And so I wanted to address it now, so that I can keep wearing this sweater. Yeah, I'm definitely, this is not the normal way to do Sashiko, but I definitely am going to have to just do one stitch at a time. The combination of the fleece and the stitch and peel turns out to be quite thick. Hard to do the usual Sashiko method. This is definitely creative mending. I seem to always be sewing with my arm down with my hand down an opening of some kind, making it really awkward. Sometimes there's just no other way to do things. Have you ever sewn on fleece like this? This is definitely my first time. I'm not even sure if fleece is the right word for this. It looked more like fleece at first, but over the years it's kind of changed. But I think Sashiko isn't just for denim and cotton fabrics. If you use a little bit of adaptability, I think it can be used in many places. We'll see how successful this one is. I'll show you what it looks like when I get further along. I'm in the middle of washing this peel and stitch off. It just feels real gluey and gooey, but cold water just rinses it right out. When I've done that, I'm just going to wash the whole sweater. But here we go, this is what it looks like wet. And we'll see in a minute what it looks like after it's had a wash. My little Sashiko repair is finished there, and I like the looks of that. But if you wanted it to be a little more defined than that, I'm going to show you a little Kuguri technique here. So what you could do, let me turn this around. I'm starting again with a knot, and I'm starting down here again at this little curlicue. And I'm just going to come up in this about the same place. Now, I don't know if you know what Kuguri is, but it's kind of a weaving Sashiko. I'm actually in the process of making a Kuguri sampler, and that will be an upcoming video. And what you do now is you turn your needle around to the other side and you pass it underneath your Sashiko stitch. And I need to put my Sashiko thimble on. Otherwise the needle point is going to stick in my hand. And you just pass it through. Now, in my sampler, I'm actually doing a proper pattern, but this will just join these stitches together and it'll be a joined up line really, so it's more defined on the sweater sleeve. Again, you don't want to pull this too tightly, otherwise you'll just give yourself the same tension kind of problems as you would with regular Sashiko. So do you see how that really defines the pattern more? And I'm not going to do any more of this because I actually like this more subtle look. But if you wanted to, you could just go around all the flowers and that might give you a brighter finish if that's what you're looking for, especially on fleece, where the stitches do tend to sink into the fabric. I hope you'll try out some Sashiko on different fabrics. Give it a try and see what you can create. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.